Okay, so today we are going to start chapter number 18.2 or subtopic 18.2 of chapter number 18, that is the nutrient cycle. When it comes to the nutrient cycle, it is going to help us to figure out how certain nutrients are transmitted from one point of formation and the other point of the consumption rate. This is called as nutrient cycle. We use the carbon cycle, nitrogen cycle majorly in this way. So the basic idea is that the main role is played by the decomposers. Decomposers, what are they? They are basically group of organisms, and their role is to produce food by decomposing the dead organic matter. So when an organism die, they used to decompose food or body of that particle or that organism. So we can say that the decomposers feed on the organic waste material from the plants and animals. So when they die, bacteria and fungi are going to feed on that organisms, and they cause the death of the, sorry, not death, they cause the breakdown of those organisms. In this way they easily decompose inside the under the ground. So example of them are the fungi and bacteria. Why are they important? They are important because they help to release the substances from dead organisms. The organisms which are obviously, when somebody dies, they are not going to consume those minerals or material or certain ions or maybe the certain nutrients in them. So obviously they are going to, these decomposers are going to break them down, and when they are breaking them down, they are going to release the nutrients like potassium, sodium, these type of substances out of their body. So they are released inside the atmosphere, and then the other organisms who were living, obviously they are going to feed on that particular organisms. Again, when it comes to the decomposers, we can say that graveyards are the most fertile lands ever existed. Why? Because lots of dying people are laying there, and when they are laying there, decomposition of the dead bodies is going on, and when the decomposition is going on, the minerals are transmitted onto the ground, and obviously they make that land fertile. Now the carbon cycle is very important. Why? Because even our skeleton is made up of carbon. Carbon atoms are a part of molecules of basic proteins, basic like biological molecules such as the carbohydrates, fats and proteins. They are all made up of carbon. Now the question arises, from where did that carbon come from? The carbon comes from the atmosphere. Okay, here is a fig number 3.1, 18.13. What this fig is depicting, there you can see, let's look up the very right side of the fig. Here is a plant standing over here. Now what is the role of this plant? The role of this plant is that it is doing photosynthesis. Amazing fact about the plant is that we are going to excrete, or we are going to exhale carbon dioxide out of us. Also the human waste are going to release nitrogenous waste and all that. So most of the human activities or other living organisms, when we do exhale, we release carbon dioxide. uh, when the level of carbon dioxide exceeds a certain level, they are going to pollute the environment in a way that they are going to cause greenhouse effect. And when they are going to cause greenhouse effect, it led to increase in the temperature of the earth. And when they increase the temperature of the earth, obviously it would be not a good place, it would not be a good place for to live on. So we can say that this plant is going to release carbon dioxide. This plant is going to produce oxygen for us, which we use for our survival, while it is intaking the waste which is harmful for our environment. So basically plants could be called as environment cleansers, because they are going to intake carbon dioxide, which if elevates a certain level would be polluting our atmosphere. Okay, now so carbon dioxide is going into the into the plants, and when plants intake it, they are going to release oxygen out of them. Oxygen is released outside the environment. Okay, again they respire by having carbon dioxide over here. Okay, combustion, These are all the activities when we are producing or releasing carbon dioxide into the environment, just like the process of combustion. Combustion is simply burning in the presence of oxygen. So when such activities happen, they release carbon dioxide. Again, when it comes to the carbon compounds in animals, because they are biological molecules, they are basic biological molecules such as carbohydrates, proteins, lipids. They are made up of carbon. So when organisms stay over here, stay even their inside their bodies, carbon containing activities are going on. Okay, so they might lead to eat this they whenever they eat and they excrete, they release carbon into the atmosphere. Again, here when they release carbon, the carbon compounds in microorganisms and other decomposers in soil. So here are the when they are staying over here, they are releasing the carbon containing compounds, and when they respire, they release carbon dioxide. So everybody is releasing carbon dioxide, and what they are adding heat to the environment or the atmosphere. Who is going to clean that heat of carbon dioxide? Trees are going to intake that extra available carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, and when they intake it, they are going to clean it by providing us with oxygen in reply. Okay, another activity here is a gas, coal, these type of building processes, or certain, I mean, like burning processes. Obviously chimneys are burning, they are releasing carbon dioxide or carbon via the combustion process. So when they're adding, everything is adding carbon dioxide to the atmosphere. Now who is intaking it and cleaning it? Photosynthesis process in the trees is responsible for intaking the carbon dioxide and paying us back with the oxygen. So in this way, they are going to clean the atmosphere and make it available for us to survive on and live into it. The next point over here is about 0.04% of the air is carbon dioxide. The air which we breathe in might contain nitrogen into it. It contains oxygen into it. So what we can say is that the first question arises that why, if we are intaking that much quantity of nitrogen into us, why are we only inhaling oxygen? Reason being is that the nitrogen we are having on us is inert in nature. When something is inert, it doesn't matter if we intake that inert gas, it can still not affect us. Why or how? Because their oxygen or that nitrogen is inert. When something is inert, it is not going to react with anything else, it will be unreactive then. So, when plants photosynthesize, the carbon atom from carbon dioxide became part of the glucose and starch molecules in the plant. Some of the glucose is then broken down by the plants in the respiration. The carbon in the glucose became part of the carbon dioxide molecule again. So simply what happens, glucose is there, plants make glucose as their diet, as their food. When they make glucose, it is then broken down in the plant by the plants in the respiration. Carbon, obviously one glucose molecule is made up of 6 carbons. So carbon in the glucose became part of the carbon dioxide again. It will be reattaching with the oxygen and they will be making carbon dioxide. So it is then released back into the air. Some of the carbon containing compounds in the plants will be eaten by the plant. When they respire, they release the same carbon dioxide back into the atmosphere and they are re-adding that available carbon. Okay. Meanwhile, if some plant or animal dies, when they dead, the decomposers will feed on them, they will eat on them, and when they feed on them, the decomposers will also feed on the waste material. When they're feeding on those waste material, such as urine, feces, living organisms are excreting, the carbon dioxide will be released as a part of that waste. And when they are releasing carbon, the carbon containing compounds in the decomposer bodies are this here and they are releasing. When an individual dies, the decomposers respire and upon their respiration they release carbon dioxide into the atmosphere again. Now where that carbon dioxide will go, they will be added back into the atmosphere, and plants are going to intake that carbon dioxide, and then that carbon dioxide will be part of them. Next point over here is sometimes, however, dead bodies and waste material, they are not broken down by the decomposers. When they are not even broken down by the decomposers, for example in plants where there is a little oxygen, only little oxygen is available, such as seabed, which is very deep inside the ocean where sunlight could hardly reach. So, when there is a little oxygen available deep in the seabed, because oceans or water-logged grounds are there, so decomposers are even not able to respire aerobically. Aerobic respiration is the respiration that is taken place in the presence of oxygen. So this activity they cannot respire in the presence of oxygen, because of obviously oxygen is hardly available right into the depth of the oceans. Instead, waste substances become buried deep or into the ground, into the ocean beds, and they led to cause the sediments. Over a long period of this activity, they are gradually changed into the coal. After thousands of years of when organisms died, they keep on adding the carbon to like layers of carbons are adding on to each other, and when the layer of carbons are added, oil or gases, they are going to convert themselves into the coal, oil or gas, natural gas substances. They are called as fossil fuels. We can use them for the burning process. Why? Because most of the fossil fuels are made up of carbon. When they came across with the oxygen, they could provide us with the fuel. We can use them as a fuel. We can burn them. Okay, not because they contain fossils, but because they were formed million of years ago from the living organisms. A true fossil remains of an organisms that have been turned into stone, because with the passage of the time the dead organisms keep on adding upon each other like layer and layer. Obviously, when organisms who are living in the like sea or ocean, when they die, they cannot go anywhere else. They are going to fall onto the ocean bed. When something dies, they are going to fall onto the ocean bed. Now they keep on adding continuous addition or falling of organisms onto the seabed, help them making the layer of carbons over each other, and that turn them into the fossil fuels. When these fossil fuels are burned, the carbon in them combines with oxygen from air in a process called as combustion, and when this combustion take place, the carbon and oxygen they combine to form carbon dioxide, which is released into air again. So they will be carbon and oxygen would be bonded together. They will be combining with each other. When they combine, they convert themselves into the carbon dioxide, and they are then released into the atmosphere. So that is how the first part of cycle completes. Like when an individual dies, they are going to be decomposing by the decomposers, and when the decomposition process starts, they got to convert themselves into the carbons. When continuous layers of carbons are formed over each other, they convert that layer of carbon into the fossils, and then fossil fuels are used for the burning process. We can rely on them because they have carbon on them, and when that carbon combined with oxygen, we can combust it, we can use it for the fueling purpose. Thanks for watching. Hit like, subscribe to the channel, help us grow. Thank you.